Hey, Status Steve, please like and subscribe. Please click on the Deck Heroes icon. Click on subscribe. It's 100% free. Blood in, blood out. And don't forget to click on notifications just so you don't miss any amazing content. If you look in the top left-hand corner, we've got Dr. John. He's obviously got a doctorate in psychology. I've also got a very solid high degree in psychology myself. Also got a master's degree in economics. But anyway, top left-hand corner, my wife had an affair, ... with a woman. Okay, just a quick aside. I think a lot of the ladies I've met over my life, I say I'm in my 40s now, and I live in London. It's obviously like one of the best cities in the world and all that kind of stuff. A lot of the women met in my life, a little bit on that, the grey area on that kind of spectrum. I mean, most of them are like heavily, maybe extremely heavily into men, but they're not totally closed to women. That's the thing. Another slightly aside is I'm not into the concept of my woman being kind of too far to the other side on that spectrum. I prefer her to be more or less solid in her mind that she's into men. And I don't want to wake up like in a one day and have her decide, oh no, I think I want to go to the other side now, and I'm completely out of the reckoning. Just a quick side, as another aside, one of my old managers back in the day, she was married, she had kids. She had her moment of realization that she's into women, married to the woman now. So you don't want to be in that situation. And that's the reason why, not just because of that, but that's part of the reason why, front of mind for me anyway, I'm not into people who are dead in the middle of the spectrum. If I was kind of looking for a relationship right now and somebody said they are bi, basically, and there's nothing wrong with it, in terms of what I choose for myself, no chance. No chance, you know what I mean? And so even if I was a younger man, I think I probably might have thought about it, just for the naughty side of things, you know what I mean? But even then, as an older man now, if you roll the dice, say if everything goes wrong, or your protection breaks or just fails or whatever, then that person who I think potentially does not have that natural 100% empathy for you as a man, and then you're tied for her for life, and they're on that kind of in between. Look at what happened to Johnny Depp. I think she was in a relationship for years with another woman. Yeah. And of course there are others, but I just think at the end of the day, in terms of that kind of natural empathy, then I think it's just better and safer if you know what side of the fence you're on. Just to balance that out, I've been wondering for years, and maybe this is not an exact science, the years and the decades of DV that men committed against women, that kind of trope that maybe some of those were in the closet and they couldn't express their true feelings, so they took it out on their wife. I think there's probably something else. There's probably something in that. And I don't want to oversimplify it. And of course, I'm not saying everybody, but in the same way, if you don't have that natural empathy from men to women, what I'm saying is that could also be from women to men. In terms of these days, you're not necessarily going to batter somebody, but you may well be gone. And before that, there'll be that infidelity, and I'm not really up for that. Anyway, my wife had an affair with a woman. Let's go.
Just to get the question out there. So how do I process my wife's affair and rebuild trust in our marriage?
What happened, man? Tell me about it.
So I guess a little bit of a concise backstory will help. So after we were married about 10 years, my wife told me that she was bisexual.
Okay.
And we both come from an extremely conservative religious background. Mm-hmm. And that was a bit of a twist.
What led her to that the declaration of a new identity? Did she have an experience or two, or did she find women attractive? Where did that come from?
And she's always been attracted to women and men since puberty. And because of stigmas and taboos, she was just afraid to ever say it to anyone.
Okay. So she said it to you. How many years ago is this?
So we've been married for almost 14 years now. That'd be about 3.5 years ago.
Okay. How'd that conversation go?
Remembering back to it.
Just before we go into that, I think for somebody to admit that, you know what I mean? They are pretty certain that they've got to tell you something. That's not the only conclusion you're going to hear, my friend. There's going to be that. And trust me, there's going to be something else which follows on from that. And it's going to be in line with them kind of indulging what she just told you about. I suspect. Anyway, let's go.
She's like, I have something to tell you. I might want to have a seat. And she told me, and honestly, when she told me, it wasn't that big of a deal to me. Because, it's not something she's ever acted upon. I guess just having a secret like that for so long, she finally thought she had to, finally had to get it out.
Yeah. Okay, so fast forward last 4 years. Sounds like she acted on it?
She did. So, about a year ago, not even a year ago, 7-8 months ago, that whole side of her kept coming into conversation more and more. And then a few months ago, she's like, oh, I have this friend, Christine, and, she's bisexual too. Her husband knows all about it. And I'm like, okay, I don't care who you're friends with. Just promise me that you'll keep it platonic. And she said, of course, I'll keep it platonic. And then beginning of September, she did not keep it platonic.
Yeah. So we have this weird moment in history where...
Just a second. I'm wondering, she's obviously bisexual. Her friend, Christine, is also the same. Christine's husband is already aware of the situation in terms of, who his wife is attracted to. What I'm wondering now, has Christine's husband been in one of those kind of trios, naughty trios? And she's obviously not being completely upfront because she said she was going to keep it platonic. I don't know how realistic he was that she was going to. There's a reason why, as I said, that she kind of gave you that news, which would have been very difficult for her, to be fair to the woman. I say to be fair to her, listen, I know also if a man said to his wife, most people here would probably say, if a man said to his wife, oh yeah, by the way, I'm interested in dating other women, I think most people are thinking about how traumatic experience that is for her to kind of get into her mind. So obviously it's also to be a traumatic experience for him. So all that in mind. So yeah, he's actually bearing this quite well, and it's good that he's reaching out. And obviously John is a trained psychologist, a doctor basically, and in that area. Having said that, though, realistically, within the time limit of a phone call, it's not really about. The emphasis is not so much going to be on having what the equivalent of a psychiatric review, if that's the one. It's more going to be about life experience and how much you can squeeze into what. How long is this one? 15 minutes. Anyway, let's go.
Inside of this, like what I would call the ride or die covenant, that phrase "till death do us part" is somehow secondary to the emergence or the, for lack of a better word, for the honoring or the outward stating of a new identity. And just personally, brother, I reject it. Like, I'll all day long, man, you're attracted to who you're attracted to. But she looked at you and said, till death do us part, right? And so here's why I'm telling you that. You're not crazy for feeling betrayed. And there's supposed to be some sort of lessening because it was with a woman or some sort of lesson. It was a betrayal, dude. And you're not crazy. You're not weak. You're heartbroken as you should be, man.
It was sort of surreal because I spent my career, I'm in the legal profession, dealing with broken families and child custodies. I never thought that one of those scenarios would ever pop up in my life.
Yeah. Yeah. Here we are, man. It's almost like you, if you're like me, you spend your whole life trying to help other people, and man, it's like you get caught off guard because there's this little, I don't know, stock ticker that runs in the back of my mind, like I'm depositing into the great bank of karma. So since I've been so helpful and kind to other people, bad things should never happen to me, right? Since you've spent your whole career helping people as their marriages are falling apart, it's not allowed to happen to you, right? And then it's even more like, it hurts. I think it hurts worse. I think it catches you off guard, right?
Most definitely.
Yeah. All right, so here we are.
I'm not sure that's what he's saying. I think what he's saying is, yeah, he could professionally distance himself from the experience of other people, and oh my gosh, that's now happening to me. And I think if you do that often enough, experience the kind of similar experiences of others, I think he knows how this is likely to pan out from the experience of all the clients that he's had to work with. And now he's got to internalize, oh my gosh, that may well be my future. What happened to them? Those steps that went through, oh my gosh, that's me. You know what I mean? So as similar to other things, let's hope that some of the advice, let's say about a third of the way in, so I hope some of the advice is about him getting his own kind of, maybe counselling on a one-to-one. And hopefully his wife will be up for something similar, to see if there's something agreeable that they can have a compromise on. It looks like it's going to be a three-wayer. Forget that marriage covenant. Forget that marriage kind of vows of the past. Sadly, I don't think that his wife is in the zone where that matters to her as much, if at all. And if it is at all or as much, it's going to be in terms of you, her, and Christine possibly, and goodness knows whoever else. It may end up being you, her, Christine, and Christine's husband somehow in some kind of rotation. So you got to get your head around that. And I would say get your head around it in as much as don't deep dive into the pain, which is going to be a pain for you. And I know this, but you've also got to have somehow try and build the skills to separate yourself from it and just be more objective about this pain is coming. She's been upfront. That is the future, the likely future, in the direction this relationship is going. And you just need to kind of mentally prepare until it doesn't hit you like a wall down the line by just kind of denying it. So you're denying it with your eyes closed, and eventually you hit that wall. As gradual as he can, as gradual as he needs to be, he needs to accept that reality. And if she is open to having a conversation, then do that. But that probably may well need to be via some form of counselling. But obviously I'm not married, so I don't know. But probably for me, I'd probably attempt to have a conversation with her as well. And it does seem like her mind is made up, and it does seem like she's been relatively upfront in that she's attempted to have a few conversations with you and with him, sorry, and just give him more opportunities to speak and think through what your questions are going to be, and don't deviate from your questions. Make sure that those questions are answered at the end of it. You don't get blindsided, just so you can have that kind of resolution in your mind. Let's go.
So the big question for me to you is, do you want to stay married to this person?
I do.
Okay. So what must be true?
And if there's one thing I can't stand, that just like the biggest thing to me is dishonesty.
Right.
I have to be able to trust.
Mm-hmm. So let me ask you again. What must be true? What is rebuilding? Not going back, because back is over. What was is no more. You have a new marriage that you are interested in rebuilding. The old one's gone. Because the old one was built on curiosity and honesty and trust, and in fact, I would say a really deep level of trust. And that's over now. And so what you'll have to do is look at a fresh piece of ground and say, we're going to excavate that, and we're going to put big, deep footers in it. We're going to rebuild this whole thing. And awesome. It could be a testament to what's to come. It could be amazing. What must be true for your wife to reestablish trust with you?
I have to have verification of what she's saying.
Okay. So you need to see her phone, you need to see her computer, like you need to know where she is?
Not necessarily where she is, but if she says, like when she said she cut off communication with the other party and wanted to, be 100% with me. Mm-hmm. I still haven't asked to see the message where she ended.
I understand where we're going from, and I understand about in order to repair the lack of trust and the broken trust, which now has resulted in the lack of trust. You can ask to have full transparency, as I say, and the phones and all that. How do we think that's going to go? Do you reckon, even though she's in the wrong because she's broken her marriage vows, do you think that's going to go down like, yeah, of course, or do you think that's going to build resentment? There's a likelihood, due to the inclination of her nature, in that she's bi, that she will not be happy and satisfied in a relationship with a man, any man, but definitely not you. And especially now, about this the concept of that new little shiny thing. You know what I mean? X amount of years into your relationship, you said 10 years marriage. Things aren't going to be that kind of sparkly and new anymore, of course, and goodness knows how long you knew her before you actually got married, and that's a good thing. It just shows your commitment, or your mutual commitment. But that new flavour that she's kind of sought out can be quite persuasive in the moment. Oh yeah, she may well have regrets down the line, or she may not. But what I'm thinking is, I don't know if you're going to sway her from that direction that she's taken, and she's already taken some fundamental kind of line in the sand kind of decisions to have this conversation with him at all. And I don't know if she is going to backtrack from that. So if he is genuinely interested in that relationship going forwards, it's probably going to be some form of consensual non-monogamy is what he's looking at. It's not monogamous anymore. I can't see it. And obviously I can't make conclusions, but just from what he's said and how things are going, it's unlikely to be anything other than an open type relationship open type marriage. Sorry, let's go.
So here's what you have to do. You have to get over all of these shoulds and maybes and I don't knows. You have to be honest with yourself about what must be true to reestablish trust. You get to dictate that, and then she gets to say, I'm in or I'm out. And I'm not saying that everything you put on the table is going to be rational or even make sense or even be helpful. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
I find it as a guy who works in the legal profession, I find it weird you haven't said, I want to see those texts. That probably would have been the first place I went. Why haven't you wanted to look? Are you scared there's something else?
I'm scared that my trust would be misplaced, believing her, just taking her on her word.
And let's keep digging. What would be true underneath that?
And if she isn't being truthful, then it's done.
Okay. That's what we're scared of. And that's what I want you to go straight into. Here's why. Let's say there's an alligator between you and your vehicle that you take to work. Instead of dealing with the alligator, calling animal control, getting that thing out of there, you're going to build a complex system of roads and sidewalks and elevators and trampolines, all these different contraptions to get around and over and underneath this alligator. And you're going to add complexity on top of complexity on top of complexity. And as Nassim Taleb says, the more complex a thing is, the more likely it is to fall. It's going to fail. It'll crash. And your body will know that you're tightrope walking. Your body will know that, I don't know, what? It will know. So head directly into it. Otherwise, you're going to make yourself crazy because your body's going to be solving for reality all of the time.
What I would have a conversation is along the lines of have his red lines about what he's willing to tolerate in light of reality. Reality is that she's likely to mention that she has some kind of emotional connection with Christine, and there might be a few other Christines out there. And even if that Christine relationship did kind of fade, the likelihood that, as I say, that she wants to be with a woman either in entirety or in addition to him. We don't even know if they still have intimacy together, and that may well be a key thing as well, whether she's actually interested in him at all or whether in their mind she has completely moved on. I think that's relevant. So he needs to have his red lines in place. He needs to have an open discussion about what he's willing to tolerate and how that relationship even came about a little bit more. And just try and see where her red lines are at as well. And hopefully there's some middle ground. And if there isn't, then maybe go on to counselling. And at every stage, his red lines do matter, and they continue to matter, as do hers. But, you know, just in light of everything that's said and the honesty, hopefully upfront honesty on both sides, and you can decide about whether it's actually got a future and where you want to go from here.
And by the way, if you tell your wife you're all the way back in too, we're going to figure this out, and you're not, then now you're the one not being honest.
Absolutely.
And you know as well as I do, being in that profession, you can get a backlog of texts. You can go get everything that was written back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's what you need for peace of mind, then go get them. And if she says, I don't want you to see it, or I already deleted them, I'm sorry, I forgot, you know how to get them. And if she says, I don't want you to do that, you can't do that, y'all need to address that. And then, by the way, we can build up this fantasy that once I finally see what was written, what was texted, what was emailed, that there's going to be some catharsis. It's often still really painful, man.
I imagine, yeah.
And so here's the homework. The homework is to begin to say, okay, not as much as what are we not going to do, right? We're not going to communicate with that person. We're not going to text other people. If you I'm putting this on the table. If you violate our covenant again, if you cheat on me and lie to me again, I'm out of here. Or you are opting out of our marriage. What are the things you are going to do affirmatively to begin to bring y'all back together and build something new? We're going to go on a walk every morning together before we go to work. Every night after our son goes to bed, we're going to go out on the back porch and have a glass of wine and go through 5 things that were good and 5 things that were hard about the day. Like, what are the things we're going to do affirmatively to begin building this stuff back? Because most of the time people, they say, like, I want to see your phone. And they see the phone. Oh, you're actually telling the truth. Okay, it was a one-night stand. It was a couple of weeks or a couple of months or a year, whatever. It's over. All right. And then you go right back into the same life. And you're just back to watching The Office, back to just working really late with your laptop on your lap, back to watching TV till you fall asleep. And that same underneath your life, that same nagging, not playful, not erotic, not alive in your own skin, in your own home, that's still there. And that's what we got to deal with.
Okay.
Is that fair?
It is.
And by the way, if once you don't get over, once you walk through the betrayal together, this idea of creating a life that you guys both want to be living is one of the funnest, most adventurous, most exciting things a couple can do together. Because you get, I mean, the deck is cleared, man. Your house got blown away. You get to build something new. What do you want it to look like? But that's for later. Right now, it's time for being sad. I'm sorry, man. In your guts, you've known this woman for a decade. Do you believe her?
I do.
Okay. It's awesome.
I mean, the only thing she ever kept from me before was a surprise guitar for her birthday. So
that you know of, and maybe that's part of it. Maybe that's step number 1. We're going to both say 5 secrets we've kept from each other. They can be big ones or little ones.
All right.
And you might find some stuff out and go screaming into the night, and you might find out some hilarious stuff.
Okay.
But Lego piece by Lego piece, brick by brick, concrete poured by rebar, by all of it, we're going to rebuild something. It's going to be very, very slow. Here's what I'm going to give you. I'm going to send you, by the way, what I'm going to give you is not going to heal anything, okay? It's just a tool, right? I'm going to send you all of the Questions for Humans couples editions. I've got 1 and 2, and then the 3rd one just came out. It's brand new. And I'm going to send you the Questions for Humans Intimacy edition, okay? It's brand new.
Okay, thank you.
And here's what I want you to do. Like, as part of the rebuild, every night we're going to do 5 of these things. We're just going to go through 5 of the cards. We're going to write stuff down. We're going to laugh. It's going to be silly, whatever. And it'd probably be worth your time to get a good marriage counselor, too, just to walk with you. Although sometimes I'm hearing more and more marriage counselors saying stupid stuff like, well, just like it's run its course. Like, I don't believe in that. I don't believe marriages just run their course. I think people decide to opt out. And if you opt out, you opt out. But you want to get somebody that was interested in the rebuild with you. Walk through it with you, help you process stuff.
I'm going to be honest with you, John. I'm going to be honest with you. I've watched a lot of your video. I haven't seen... This is probably the only video where I've heard you say that, so that's very interesting to the content. You're amazing, you know what I mean? You know, there's a lot we do agree on. I've never heard you say that before, apart from now. And I don't think I've watched every single video. I'm not saying that, but anyway. Good advice, though, but I would totally agree.
And you're going to have stuff that needs to be put on the table. She's going to have more stuff to get put on the table, all that. But maybe this big moment will allow y'all to rebuild something stronger and arguably more beautiful than what was. Slow and steady. But the first thing out of the deck is you.
Nice words. It's not going to be stronger. It's not going to be more beautiful. It's definitely going to be different. And the reason why I'm saying that is because it's like, that it's like the Whitney Houston situation, where Whitney was with that other woman that she had a relationship for years into the marriage of Bobby. She loved Bobby Brown. That woman is still there. A long time, you know what I mean? And it had its impact on the relationship. And you can imagine any third person's influence on the relationship. You don't know anything about that third person. Is it likely to be positive or negative? Exactly. In case you know the answer for me, probably negative overall. It's just that kind of interfering, divisive presence, that unsettling presence in what is a marital couple. You know what I mean? But he wants to stick with it, and he wants to give it a go, and he wants to work for it, and you don't know until you try. So all things, oh my gosh, hope it works out for him.
You have to say out loud, here's what must be true for me to reestablish trust, and let's go 2 weeks at a time, because it's going to shift in 2 weeks. I don't need to see your text anymore after 2 weeks, but here's what I really need. I need you to go for a walk with me and just tell me how the day was, up or down. I need you to hold my hand. I need you to, be open to it, and don't be punitive with that kind of stuff. I've seen people be really just moronic with their trust establishment. I need you to re-roof the house, just whatever. But I want you to be honest about what you need and give her permission to be honest about what she needs. Let's rebuild this. Let's rebuild something amazing, one step at a time. You know what? Hang on the line, too. I'm going to hook you up with a free live stream. My friend Rachel Cruz and I are doing a money and marriage live stream I'm gonna hook you up with a link, and for everybody listening, we'll link to it in the show notes here. Actually, it might be over by the time this episode comes out, I think, but we'll get you guys hooked up, Paul, and you and your wife can watch it and tune in with us. Thanks for the call, brother. I wish you.
Yeah, very interesting call. I didn't know in the States that everyday people, I'm assuming it's everyday people, can request historical text messages from people other than self. In the UK or in Europe, especially, I think Europe and the UK, I'm pretty sure, we've got the Data Protection Act. Data protection, aka personal data, is only for you and the people who need to know. That's also, there's a bit of complication with Megan's law, but I don't know if it applies to texts. Very unlikely. I think it's about criminal records and Megan's law. Just kind of working out in my brain. But either way, there's no way you can request somebody else's texts unless you're police or something like that. You know what I mean? So that was interesting. But yeah, I think I've kind of stated the case enough times in the course of that call, a very interesting call, and I want to be optimistic for him, and you just never know, and who knows, maybe they can kind of pull this thing together, and they have been together 10 years, and hopefully they're not in a position where they want to throw it away. But that's all with the thing at the back of my mind, that she's already thrown her cards on the table, which is likely to throw it all away. So it's not going to be easy, and I wish there was a follow-up so we know how it all panned out. But anyway, that's it. Please like, subscribe. That is Stephen. I'm out.